Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com, and what I want to talk about today is pattern matching. Pattern matching is a pretty awesome feature that exists in a lot of other programming languages. It exists in, I've seen it used in Rust. I've seen it, I think they're just about to add it to Python. It's very typical in functional languages like OCaml and Haskell and things like that. And basically, it's a big thing in Perl and Raku. But what pattern matching is, it's kind of like a switch statement where you do something based on a string. But the big difference between like pattern matching and the way we use switch statements is that when we use switch statements, we're saying, hey, does the different situations match this value? Okay, so I'd be like, switch the letter A, and then I'm checking, hey, does this match the letter A? Okay, and in that case, something happens. There isn't sort of like pattern matching in the same sense as you may have it in OCaml, where you're not just matching direct matches. You're not saying, hey, does this match this? You are actually matching patterns where you can actually designate, hey, is this a thing that kind of looks like an email? Is this a thing that, and then in that case, and that's what makes languages like those that have pattern matching really good for like breaking down strings and complex patterns. But it doesn't necessarily mean you can't do the same thing in JavaScript, okay? And I'll show you how, okay? How to do pattern matching in JavaScript. So one approach I saw, which is probably the most succinct approach I was able to find, was this approach, where you basically, you create a function. So in this case, we created a function called matcher, okay? And this function takes in the string. So this is gonna be the string we wanna match. And then what it does is we make a switch that's testing for the value of true. Okay, so if the case is true, then it'll do the thing. So here's where we put the regex and the cases, but we don't just put the regex, and we'll talk about regex in a second. We use a method that regex has in JavaScript called test, and we test it against the string, and that's going to return true or false. So if the regular expression matches, it's going to return true, and then that case will run. So now, regular expressions are a way of expressing sort of string patterns. I think it was actually originally created for Perl. Actually, no, let me take that back. I think Perl came up with one of the main implementation of regex that's used in most languages, but I think regular expression was actually built for Unix systems, because I think that's where like the term grep comes from, grep, when you ever use like a Unix or Bash shell, and there's like this thing called like the search thing is called grep. It means like like grab regular expressions, or global regular expressions, I think. But point is, what you're doing here is you're specifying a pattern, so that these two forward slashes designate the beginning and end of the regular expression statement, and then between those you specify sort of like the pattern. Okay, like so in this case, I'm saying, hey, I want 3 numerical digits in a row. So 1, 2, 3. That's the pattern I'm matching. So what it does, it's going to test the string and say, hey, is the string made up of 3 numerical numbers in a row? If it is, this will return true. So this one is saying, okay, the first letter should be either A, B, or C, and then the second letter should be X, Y, or Z. And if that's true, then this would return true. Okay. And then this last one's the default. Just means, hey, if it doesn't match any of the previous ones, okay, then that's that. Okay. Cool. So we see a few examples. So here, like, this is 3 digits, 3, 4, 5. This is first letter A, B, or C, second letter A, X, Y, or Z, and this one doesn't match either of those. So watch, if I run the code, we can see it matches the first 3 numbers. Okay, now why would you use pattern matching? Pattern matching is oftentimes like if you were like creating like a templating language, and you wanted to create your own like little mini language. This is kind of like how you do it, because basically, essentially, people would write strings, and then you would break it down. You would use pattern matching, so you would basically tokenize the string, which means you break the string up into a lot of smaller strings representing the tokens that need to be pattern matched. Okay, So you'd like, let's see if I can come up with an example. Const string, and let's say I come up with a language like this. Something that looks like equals const, yeah, we'll just say const stringy equals, and everything gets separated by these bars. We'll say, okay, we'll say, first we have to specify like HTML, meaning opening tag. Then you would say like div for an opening div. Then we'd say cdiv for a closing div. And then in this case, I probably won't need regex for this particular example because the way I'm setting it up. But I literally just woke up, so I can't think of a more contrived example. CHTML. Okay. So then theoretically, what I would do, okay, let's change this matcher function. So we'll say this one has to be like, yeah, actually this might work. We'll say like O, so it has to start with O, and basically any number of characters afterwards. So let me see how many other, what would be, and this is RegExer, which is a great website to practice your regex. Okay, so really I want any character. Let's see, capture group reference, 0 or more, 1 or more, 0 or 1. Okay. So in that case, what I think I want is A through Z, and it can be as many of those afterwards. So this would be an opening tag. Okay, and what this is going to do is we're going to have like a string that we speak in. So let result equal an empty string. Okay, and then basically if it starts with O, oh no, we can't do that because I'm going to loop over it. Okay, I'll do a different function for that. Const parse equals the string. Okay, and then basically what we're going to do here is we will first break apart the string. So stir array equals whatever string is passed in, split by the pipe. Okay, split by the pipe. And then what we do is we'll say for string of string array, and what we'll do is we'll let result equal an empty string. Let result equal an empty string, and then what we're going to do is we're going to say result plus equals the result of matcher string. Okay, and actually I will call this stringy because I already used stir earlier. Okay, and then that'll basically append everything, and then I return the result. Okay, so that'll essentially, it breaks, first I'm doing is I'm tokenizing it because I'm breaking it up into its separate pieces using this, and then I'm parsing it, I'm looping over it and saying, oh, what does each token represent? And then, yeah, that's pretty much the kind of the idea behind like creating a programming language. You take a string, you tokenize it, then you parse it. Okay, so we do this, and let me just kind of go back and reformat this. True 0 through Z. So then what this is going to do is return do with backticks because it's going to be essentially an HTML tag, and then we want to include well, I only want everything after the first letter, so I will replace the string. So const tag equals string dot split. I'm going to split it by every letter, but then I only want a slice of that, so I want anything from the first index on. Okay, and that should give me everything but the first letter. Everything but the first letter, and that would be good. And then I just interpolate that into here. Okay, cool. And that should kind of give me the opening tag for each O. And then I'm just going to copy this logic. Okay, so I'll just copy this case right over this case, because it should be the same thing. Let me just line this up better. I can just do that by hitting save. There we go. The only difference is that now it's going to be C at the front. And still the same deal there, except now we want to have the slash, and then these should be backticks. Okay. Let me get rid of that extra $sign. Same thing here. And then this one's going to have a slash in front of it because it's a closing tag. Okay. Cool. And let's see here. And then here we'll just return string. So basically if it's anything else, essentially text. So return string. Okay. Oh, if you hear a bird in the background, that's my pet cocktail who is wanting attention. Okay, return string. Okay, so that'll kind of keep returning the string because we'll keep passing the next piece of the bigger string in there. That should do it. Okay, and now what I would do is I will say console.log parse. Is that what I call the function? Parse. And we're going to parse stringy. And I should get basically like an opening and closing HTML tag with an opening and closing div tag inside of it. Let's see if that works. Oh, nope, I get an error. So let's see why. Identifier tag has already been declared. Ah, I see. Now why would that be the case? Break, return tag. Switch true. Now why would that be being declared twice? Now I'll just call it a let, just to Here's what I will do. I will just do this, just to not have to think too hard. Let tag. There we go. That should fix that issue. Okay, next issue. String is not defined. Where did I use string? Oh, right here. Put it right here. This will be stir. Okay, OHTML, cdiv. That's not what I wanted. Let's think as to why. Okay, so tag. I mean, almost kind of what we wanted, but I want to remove that first one. So that's why I did the slice. So instead, it's returning the split, which should be the array, which is, again, so right now it's like trying to conjoin the array. Oh, I need to join the array, but still not getting me exactly what I wanted. So let me see here. Let me refresh myself on array slice. Slice, yeah, that's the way I kind of remember doing it. Yeah, we start with orange, and yeah. So that should give me the rest, but let me just do this. Dot join. Forgot to join it back up. Same thing here. Dot join. So see, now we get that, but it's still not removing that first letter. Okay. We split it into an array. Let me see if I do it to change it to 2, because maybe there's an extra character that I'm not thinking about. That's kind of the result I wanted. But even for the C, it's not quite what I expected. So now I'm wondering what we're... Oh, because there's spaces. I see. Because it's counting these spaces. So it's like space 1, 2. But for the 2 C tags, let's take a look. Let's console log each one. Let's see what we're parsing it. Stir. Okay. Oh, because I didn't change this to 2. That's why. Okay, and then really I don't want the last one, which I don't have it as a separate thing. So if I really want to do that, I probably should do this instead. So split const. I'll just do this, just not to deal with scoping issues. Brain too tired at the moment. So let's see here. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this logic out from here. And then make this tag equals split. This way I can do this. Split dot length -1. That should cut out the last letter. Dot join. Okay, I'm just thinking of anything I'm missing there. And then I'm just going to copy this over here. Save it so that way this all gets aligned. And let's run this again. Oops, that's not the command I wanted to run. Here we go, node scratch.js. And it works. Perfect. But see, like, that's the benefit of pattern matching. See, I was able to turn this string and basically I ran it through this function. First thing I did is in my parse function, I split the string or tokenized the string. And then I looped over it using my matching function. And then each piece of the string kept going through the switch using regex to figure out like which kind of token it is. And then I would append that token to a build-up string. And this is kind of like how you build like a transpiler. So what you would do is like you'd sit there and let's say you write TypeScript, the TypeScript compiler. Essentially that's what it's doing. It breaks apart your TypeScript code, runs it through some sort of pattern matching process, matches it with the JavaScript that it would be, and then churns you out sort of the final JavaScript. And then the JavaScript engine does the same thing. It tokenizes it, parses it into, I think, C++, which then gets compiled into machine code by the browser. Or, well, it gets parsed by the browser into executable stuff. So hopefully this shows you how you can do that in JavaScript, how you can do pattern matching using regex and switch statements. You know, in this case, I could write more HTML technically. I can actually now put text in the middle. So I can be like, I want, you know, in here we'll say, hello world. And actually that should give me what I think it's going to give me. Yep. Almost. Takes out the first letter still. And puts it in HTML tag. So that means it's matching one of the two. See. Shouldn't match either of those two. Hello world. Now, what if I surround it with like 1? Let's just see what happens there. Well, I'll have to examine my regex, make sure it matches the way I want, but you guys get the idea. My name is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com. Again, check out devnursery.com. Check out alexmercedcoder.com. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see y'all later.